Hello, this is Matt, and in this lesson I'm going to show you how to play Ebon Coast by the brilliant Andy Mckee. I'll first of all play the tune, and then I'll move on into a highly detailed lesson with the usual close-ups of my hands, and I'll talk you through exactly how to play the song for yourself. Okay? Okay, so let's get started. First of all, the tuning. It's just standard tuning, concert pitch. So you can either tune up to me by ear now, or you can use an electronic tuner. It should bring you into the same pitch as my guitar. So I'll give you my E. My A. D. G. B. And E. Okay, so it's just in the standard tuning. Obviously the original Andy Mckee Ebon Coast, he plays it on a baritone guitar, which is a longer guitar, and he's the lowest note is tuned down to B instead of E, but you need a baritone guitar really to be able to take your guitar that low. I could, you know, you can take a normal dreadnought guitar like this, and you can take this note all the way down to B, but the strings tend to be so sort of slack and floppy that you know, the slightest movement, you know, it just the guitar is not designed to have, you know, handle to be tuned that low, and you need a baritone guitar really to sort of handle the tension. So I haven't got a baritone guitar, so I'm just using a normal dreadnought in standard tuning. You could get away perhaps with down tuning to E flat. I've seen Andy Mckee play Ebon Coast on a standard dreadnought. He plays it in E flat on one of his YouTube video I saw. You could even you might even get away with taking it down to D, you know, and still getting away with the strings being tight enough to sort of sound all right. But I just noticed on this guitar, if I take all the strings, if I take the tuning down to D instead of E, then notice the intonation starts to go out up here. So there's a lot of harmonics in the song. So it doesn't sound good if the intonation isn't bang on. Incidentally, you want to sort of have your guitar playing as best as it can. Really have it, if you can do it yourself or afford to have someone else do it. You know, have it set up so that the intonation is all as good as it can be for this tune. Because obviously, the better sound in your guitar, the better sound in the you know, the better the tune is going to sound. All right, so that's enough about tuning. All right, so let's move on into how to actually play the song. And the way it starts off, you've got some harmonics, obviously, on this 12th fret here. You know, if you just place your little finger or any finger very lightly on the strings there, you don't actually press against the fretboard. You just touch, you know, just make contact with the string and actually press down, and you get those harmonics. And when you start off, the little finger is over the 12th fret like that, and you've got the first finger on the 10th fret on the D string, and then the little finger is covering the A string, D string, G string and B string, and the top E as well, although you're not actually playing that top E note, and you're not playing this bass E yet, and you're just starting off. If you look at the right hand, with my palm there, I'm just muting slightly. There's a couple of ways, and Andy Mckee plays this intro bit on the sort of, I guess, the most famous YouTube video. He plays it just like a... But in other videos, he's doing something like this. Okay, well, we'll just have a look at the first of those to begin with. You've got... So, incidentally, I should say this now. As far as nails is concerned, with this song, it's going to be helpful to grow your nails out a bit. As you can see, I've got my thumbnail quite long there, much to my girlfriend's displeasure. She says it looks creepy. That's the word she used. But I don't care, because I just wanted, I wanted. It was more important to be able to play the song rather than have rather than aesthetic appearance is concerned. But you can grow your nails out like that. I find they're a bugger to keep clean though. You just, I don't know, I seem to go for a train journey for an hour and my nails are filthy. But anyway, with my nails, they tend to sort of, they're a bit sort of yellowish and a bit sort of horny, and they tend to sort of, when they grow long, they tend to sort of bend a little bit, get a bit not misshapen, but the main thing is just keeping them clean. I just find it a pain. And the other day I just was sick of them, and trimmed them really short, and then I stupidly came to play in Ebon Coast, and I realised, you haven't got any nails, so you can't get those harmonics to sound out as well if you haven't got the nails. So I went to Boots, the local chemist, and just bought some stick-on acrylic nails, and stuck them on in the second and third finger. As you can see, these two fingers, they seem to be the main ones that are involved that you need the nails for in this Ebon Coast tune. So I just stuck them on and then trimmed them with the nail clippers, and I've got to say they're really good. If you can't be bothered to grow your nails out, and as long as you don't mind people suspecting you of being a bit of a tranny, then because I've got a day job, unfortunately, because I'm not able to live solely from my website, and you get some funny stares sometimes, but I prefer to sort of leave them guess, Anyway, so that's about nails. You're going to need some nails, and a thumbnail especially, So you might want to experiment with growing your own nails, or if you can't, if you don't want to do that, then just get some stick-on acrylic nails. They're about £5. So I don't know, how much they cost where you are, but they're not expensive, and just stick them on. They stay on for about 7 days, and then they sort of eventually sort of peel off then. All right, so the first bit here. So as I say, your little finger is just over the 12th fret, like that. Just not actually pressing down, just very lightly on the strings like that. I'm not pressing down. I'm just lightly touching it, and the finger is parallel with the fret. It needs to be, because to get the harmonics to ring out. And as you can see, the first finger is there on the D string. And what you're doing, if you just want to make that position with your left hand, and with your right hand, you're going something like this. You're sort of muting a little bit with your palm, as you can see with my right hand there, just to mute that A string off a bit. And you've got like something like this. So it's a thumb. There you go. So it's thumb, first finger, like that, and then these two fingers together. So you go. And then you're bringing in this percussive tap with your thumb, and that's going all the way through the song. Obviously, that as it goes, you're always doing that in the rhythm of the song, and so you've got. But in the beginning, as I say, we're talking about the original sort of most famous YouTube video of Andy doing it. He's just tapping very lightly. So he's just sort of stopping the string. So you're just bringing your hand if I can show you like here, you're just bringing your hand very lightly down. It's not just the thumb like that. You're actually you're not only moving the thumb, you're actually sort of bringing the whole weight of the hand down like that sort of thing. And so you got strike and then thumb. So you play like that, strike, and then it's inverted as you play the thumb, and then these two, and then the finger. So you got, okay. And you just repeat that then. Strike, strike. Remember that with the strike, you're kind of coming down on it like that. You're not just using your thumb, only your thumb. It's kind of the whole weight of your hand, but very lightly tapping it. Not hard at that point. Just all right. And in the other version, he sort of goes like a. So that's like a. And then you're playing to go. So you're playing, and then bringing that first finger in again. So you and when you're hitting like that, it is more of a flick. You are mainly just using your thumb there, as opposed to coming down like that. So you can choose which way you want to sort of start off the intro. I just thought I should mention, that Andy himself varies it a little bit. He varies the song as well. Like he never sort of plays it exactly the same way. So you got that. So I'll just stick to that now. And then you just slide that. You keep that position, and then slide it down here to the 7th fret. So this little finger here is directly over the 7th fret, and you're doing exactly the same thing with the right hand. And then you're just alternating between the two. So if the beat's going like a 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it's change after 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, change. 1, 2, 3, 4, change. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you go. So 1, 3. So, and then you go into the beginning, and that's where you bring in that bass note there, the E or the B in the original. And then you've just got with this. You go from that position, and then you slide this little finger down. Again, you're not actually pressing the strings against the fret. You just slide it down to cover the. Cover the G and B strings. You're moving it down, and then this D note here. This it's not a D note. Sorry, the 5th fret. This note here. That can ring out then. So you got. Oops. And then you've got. So you go, and then bring in the move the finger down to cover just the G and B strings, and then then bring in the bass note. Then the first finger on the D string, and then the 2 fingers together there. So,
And then after that, with this, depending whichever finger you feel more comfortable with. Personally, it's this one with me, the second one. You just sort of tapping like that, tapping. So I find it sounds best if, you know, with that fold where your finger here, this, you know, where it bends, just on that place there seems to sound best for getting the ideal. But it might be different for you. You know, you've got different shaped hands or different length fingers. But so you got so you got thumb, first finger, two fingers together, and then stop. Well, not stop, but you just kind of tap. But you don't tap, when you tap this finger, you don't tap so hard that you actually press hard enough to make the note ring out, like that. You just, it's like a dead sort of tap. You just tap it hard enough. It takes practice, you know, until you start getting it right, you know. But you just want to tap it just hard enough to get a... So... And after that tap of that finger, you've got the tap of the right hand, like that. Let me pan out a bit, so you see that a bit better. So you got... So again, it's kind of like the weight of your whole hand is coming down, you know, it's coming from the elbow, it's not just from the wrist. You know, it's coming from the elbow. It's the whole, and it's not just the thumb either. Perhaps later on in the song, it is. You know, sometimes it is just the thumb tapping, but in this one, so you just want to work on getting that, and then you just slide it up back to the 12th fret. Exactly the same thing. And how many have you got? You got, so you got the beginning, and then when it goes into the bass, when you start involving these strings, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and change. 2, 3, 4, and change. Here, this bit, you go, and then instead of the bass, the A string, you've got this note here. So you go, on the 11th fret there with the second finger, and again it's the same two harmonics. So you got so far. Three, 4. Just covering what we've done so far. So it's hard to talk and play at the same time. And then so depending on how advanced you are, you might be watching this and thinking, God, I wish he'd bloody get on with it. Or you might be thinking, oh, this is just the right pace. You know, it's hard to pitch it to everyone's pace. And I do ramble a lot, but, you know, that's just the way I am. I'd rather include stuff in the lesson and have it be twice as long rather than miss stuff out, you know. So... so there's that. So you might want to just practice that, or if you feel you can just get the hang of that straight on, we can move on to the next bit. We actually start off playing the tune itself, and get a bit closer into my hand. Oops. All right. So after this bit. the bass string, and then the G string with the second finger. So then the G string. And then what you do is you play the bass string, then the G string, then you hammer on the 4th fret and slide up like you're it's one quick motion. Whoops, sorry. And then I do it with the same finger on the B string, on the third fret, as you can see. So you got, and then cut it off then with the percussive beat. That goes all the way through, and most of the time that beat you've got to try and keep it nice and even, you know, so that you're not hitting the guitar like really whacking it once and then just tapping it. You've got to try and keep it a nice even percussion, and that just comes, you know, after practice. So you got. So you might want to practice that, and after that you've got. And you just play that note there on the B string, first note, the first fret, and then cut it off with a palm mute, so it's not. It doesn't ring out. It's like that. Cut off and then so you can use the first finger there. So these notes, the first finger. So I start with that finger and then go to there. So you go. And then after that you got the bass again. So you go. After that bass note, you got to slide again. So you slide up with that first finger. You can either just hammer that note on, or for extra definition, you actually pluck it. So I played it with that finger, then, you know, just alternate the fingers like that, so you don't have to make one finger work too hard. Then you've got that percussive beat to come in then, and when it comes in, you sort of hit down like that, and at the same time you sort of flick out the finger in order to catch the B and the E strings. So you go like that. So you're hitting to get the strike, and you're also catching those two notes. Again, it just takes practice to get the hang of doing it. So yeah. upstroke. Or just, sorry. And after that, when you do that stroke down, you sort of keep the thumb there to avoid any unwanted notes ringing out in this bass area. Because if you sort of, if you whack it like that, you get them to ring. You can get notes that you don't want to ring out to sound as. Oops. And when you hit like that, you kind of keep the thumb there to keep these strings dead. And then hammer on, so you're going to hammer on here with the second finger. And then pluck with the little finger there on the 5th fret. Hammer on, pluck with an upstroke. And then you've got a first finger there on that 3rd fret. So, and after that note, bring in the A string. But with this note, you sort of bend it. You gotta. Sort of bend it, and in the original song it sounds like a it's like a it sounds like that, but he's not actually doing that. He's not actually playing like he's not actually playing those notes, but it sounds like that. But you get that through bending this. You sort of go, you sort of bend it, and then you play the open E string. And then you sort of hammer down with these two fingers here on the 5th fret on the D and the G strings. So you got. So you got. So you got. Whoops. Yeah, so when you hammer down, you pluck in them as well. So you go. Then you got the strike coming, and that strike's obviously beating all the way through that percussive strike. So you got. So you got. Then you sort of take the fingers off. So you go. And then you take the fingers off to cut the note. And then take it off. So you go like that. So you go. Something like that, yeah. And then you sort of lift them off like a pull off. That's it. And then put them back on. So you go. After the strike, you got a pluck there on the A string. So you go, and then after the strike, immediately the A string. When you strike down, you want to have this finger off. So you got when you got that strike down to get that sort of. Then a pluck there. got when you actually play the note, you got these two here. That finger's back on now. There, the first finger. So go. When you strike down, have the finger off. So I'll run through that slowly again. And then you've got a bum bum. So you play that again. Quite a complex little bit, that is. You might have to watch this a few times, go over it till it clicks. And then you've got, so you go, and then from there to this position then. So you've got the first finger is on the B string on the 5th fret. So the first finger is on the B string. This finger is on the E string on the 7th fret. And then you've got 7th fret D string and 7th fret G string. So the notes you're playing at, that's the shape you want, yeah? So you go. So good. And then with your palm, you're sort of muting the strings off at this point to get that sort of stunted sort of sound. So good. So the thumb, first finger, two fingers on the B and G string. And then the first finger again. So good. That sort of thing. And again with the percussive beat this time, you can see that it's mainly just the thumb that's working. It's not the whole hand, because you can't bring the whole hand down because your fingers are busy, so you just sort of slap it like that. I'm actually only striking the E string. Okay, so you go. Actually it goes like. So after that pluck, you sort of just pull off that first finger there with the left hand. Oh, what's happening to my camera? Zooming out then without me asking it to. That's annoying. Why is it zooming out like that? Didn't ask it to zoom out, did I? Unless we've got a poltergeist in it. Oh well, it's doing as it's told now. Strange. Right, yeah, so we got to... So, then pull the finger off, strike, and this time, the first finger. So you go. This sort of picking technique is repeated throughout the song, so it'll start to become more familiar with to you as you practice the song more often. So So far, just play really slowly what we've covered so far. It's pulling out again. Okay, so just to run through it, the whole lot, you got. Then, after that, you go to this shape here. So the first finger is on the B string on the 5th fret. The third finger is on the 7th fret on the G string, and the little finger's on the 7th fret on the E string. So you've got these notes. And then you go, let me think. There you go. So bass, then first finger, second finger, third finger, and then obviously then you sort of cut it off. Well, it's cut off by the percussive movement then. So you got 4, 4, 4, 1, 2. Okay? So you got. So we're talking 7th fret B string, cut off, short note, cut it off with the palm. It's not, it's, so, like that. Actually, you don't cut it off with the palm. That's not right. When you, the way it's cut off is by just releasing the finger like that. So you're not playing like that. No, just like that. You pull it off to cut it, and that note is played. I don't think you actually give the note vibrato there. But perhaps a little bit. It's a very short note. You don't have to give it vibrato. After that, the thumb again. So 2, 4, 4. And then you got. So with here you've got the bass note, the bass E. So we're on the G string now, as you can see, on the 7th fret of the first finger. These notes here. So upstroke, a pluck with the first finger here. Hammer on. So hammer on, and then with the first finger, and then the second finger. And then you've got the percussive beat then, that's keeping the rhythm throughout the whole thing. It's going to be awkward for you to keep that beat going, you know, first off, straight away, you're going to have to practice till it all sort of fits together. And then you've got a similar thing as you had down here. When you had that downstroke, which was also, it was a percussive beat, like a, I don't know, like a bit like a snare drum, but you also flipped with this first finger here to get these notes. So, like that. And it's a similar thing here. So when you're striking like that, but you're also using this first finger here to sort of, you're using your nail to flick that note as well. Like that. Then hammer on the little finger. Like that. Hammer on. And then third finger, you get this note here, which is the obviously the 7th note, the thinnest string, E string. So with this finger is barring across 3 strings. And then you play that note there again. And then with the A string. And then again you're using your palm on your right hand to dampen the strings to get that sort of plucky sound. So you play the A, and then your thumb, and then these 2 strings here. And then you play bass with the A, bass, the thumb, the A with the thumb, then the D string with the thumb, and then the 2 fingers then pluck the B and E strings, but then you take away this hand to get that G sound. So you go. It's very subtle. So you just sort of hints at that G note. And then the percussive beat then with the right hand. And again, it's more like, this time it's more like the hand coming down. So you go. So you go, just to recap, you go. After the beats you got, so B and G, and here, so you go. And then you got dun dun, and then you go into the other position, so you got it. Go into another position, which is this position here. So the first finger is on the B string on the 8th fret, second finger is on the 9th fret on a D string, third finger is on the lower E string on the 10th fret, and your little finger here is on the G string on the 11th fret, and these are the notes. You don't actually play the A string, so it's these notes that are over. I'll play all the strings. Okay, so it's that shape that you need to memorise. No idea what it is in terms of music theory. I don't know anything about music theory really, I just play by ear. So anyway, so you got so, and then into that position. sorry, you go from here. And then you've got an upstroke on the forget what I just said a moment ago. It's an upstroke on the. You've got an upstroke there, so it goes. Oops. And then you've got an upstroke here. Oops, on the D string. So. Is that upstroke, which is quickly followed by then you go immediately into that position. So you get so you got the upstroke with the first finger on the D string, and then the thumb on the same note, D, on the D note. So. And then you include this second finger here, so you got upstroke on the D, and then the downstroke with the thumb, and then you're already in that position. Okay, with the first finger. Off on the D, so you got pull off, percussive strike, then the finger is back again, then so hammer off, pull off, strike, put the finger back, so you got. Really slow. All right. So you may have had as much as your brain can handle for the time being. So give it a rest. Go and do something else. Come back to it later. Okay, so moving on. So far we've got up to then we've got a bit down here. You've got an E bass note, and then what you're doing is the first finger's here on the second fret on the thinnest E string. The second finger there is on the B string, and the third finger is on the E string as well, on the third fret. So you got, when you play these, I play with my second and third fingers there, these two notes. So you go, and then pull off. Same time as you pull off, when you pull off, use your first finger on the right hand here to play the G string. So you got like that. It's a bit awkward to do first of all, but again, it's just a question of practice. You know, the stuff that really feels impossible and awkward becomes, you know, routine after sufficient practice. So you go. Then after, if you pluck that G string, take your fingers away, then play the open strings. So you go. then that's obviously cut off with a percussive strike. Oops. After the strike, you've got these notes here. Your first finger is on the G string on the 2nd fret, and your second finger is on the 3rd fret on the B string. These notes here. So you got. And after that, you got. You play these and hammer on here like that, but at the same time as you hammer on, you play the E string here. So you go, and then play the G string again, and then play the open strings again, the percussive strike, these two notes again. Those notes are muted by, in the same way as before, by just taking the fingers off, just removing, lifting those fingers off, like a little bit, just lifting them off, not completely off the strings, but like. So you got. To that shape there. So it's like an A7th, I think. You got with a little finger added. So you got the first finger on the B string on the 1st fret, second finger on the D string on the 2nd fret, and the little finger on the 3rd fret on the E string. And you got thumb, and again thumb on the A string, and again thumb on the D string. So you go down, and then 1st finger, 2nd finger, 3rd finger. Two. All right. Dun, 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 dun. And then after the hit, you got. Whoops, sorry. So you got. Oops. So those two notes afterwards. So you got strike, dun dun. And then you play the A string open, and then hammer on into the next position. So you hammer on with that 2nd finger there on the 2nd fret on the A string. So you got to this chord position here. So it's second finger on the second fret on the A string. You've got the open D string. Third finger's on the second fret on the G string. And the little finger's on the third fret on the B string. So you got. And you hammer on. And then do the same thing with the right hand finger. So it's and then with that second one and then this note. And then a downstroke on the E. So I'll run through all that again slowly. You got whoops, start again. Then bass string E, so you're on the 7th fret on the D string, 7th, 9th on the D string, hammer on like that, then the first finger on the B string on the 7th fret. So no strike. Tapping that E string, yeah? And then with my third finger on the right hand, as you can see, I'm plucking this note here on the 10th fret on the thinnest E string. So you go. And then you sort of, that gets cut off by well, you mute it by, again, deadening the note by pulling it off slightly, so you got, and then that note there. Oops. And then you've got a similar run again, like this one. And then like this one. We've already had those two runs, and this next one is in the same sort of style, really. So you got upstroke, the second finger there on the right hand. You pluck in the B string on the 7th fret. Hammer on with the next finger, and then upstroke again. So. I think I just used the same finger with the right hand, so upstroke, hammer on, upstroke, and then again you've got that percussive strike, keeping the beat, but at the same time you sort of flick this first finger out to get the notes, and it's that note. So you sort of, you're getting the, you with the, you kind of with the right hand. So and then you've got a upstroke there. Sorry, what you're doing is a kind of, you're almost sort of rotating your hand in a way to sort of to get that percussive beat, and at the same time you're flicking out this little thing, this first finger here. So you're gonna something like that, Again, it might feel awkward and impossible, but you know, as I've said, you know, if you practice enough, it just becomes routine then. So you hit and catch that note on the 7th fret on the E string at the same time. And then an upstroke. So down, up with the first finger, and then up with this third finger. So you got the whole thing together. Yeah, and then after that note, you've got an upstroke with the first finger on the B string. So, and then with that, when you play that note, you go to this position as well. So and that finger takes that note, and the other fingers go to the next position ready, which is this one. So the first finger here bars across on the 7th fret on the 4 strings from the D string downwards. The second finger is on the B string on the 8th fret. Third finger isn't doing anything. The second finger is on the 10th fret on the D string. So yeah. Alright, and with that note, with that finger there, the rest of your fingers go to the position, and then you've got a downstroke with the A, and again you're muting with your palm here on this part, so you're getting those sort of staccato notes. So like, and then you got down with the thumb and down on the D string. And then you bring in the 2 fingers here. So you've got like that. And then you sort of pull off. So you've got to and then pull off with this first finger on the left hand to hint at that G note. So then the percussive strike. So we go. So it's so then these two. I'll repeat it around in a loop, yeah? Can't repeat it round in a loop. Whoops. So you go. And there you go. Sorry, and then you got. It's not. This time it's and then the A again to go bom bom, and then you go into this position. What am I saying? So it's like this, sorry, this is the official version. And then this note, this D note is open. As we had before, it's just the same, we've had this bit before. So it's that again. then you palm mute the strings off, and you got an upstroke here on the D. So you got that positioning again with the first finger on the 8th fret B string, second finger on the 9th fret D string, third finger on the 10th fret E string, thickest lowest E, and the little finger on the 11th fret on the G string. Alright, so it's that position. And then you go into that. You play before you go into that. You play an up on the D string, and then a down. So you got the same note, and then it's a. So you go, and then you pull off this finger here. So you get a. Oops. Back, so you got a start again. So you got and then you got this here. So the first finger is on the 7th fret, thinnest E string. Second finger's on the 8th fret on the thickest E string, and you just play the thumb and the third finger here. So you got like that. How's it going now? Yeah, like, and then bring this finger in here to the 8th fret on the B string. So you got, but pluck it with your second finger here. So you got, and then you move this finger. That you move it up the frets, not up the frets. I mean up down the strings, or however you want to refer to it. It comes from here. It moves from here to the B to the G. So you got, and then with your first finger here on the right hand, you play that note. So you got. So your first finger, the finger's here on the left hand. Your first finger. And then it changes to there. Alright, so good. And then with the third finger you play that E string, thinnest E string. So good. Beat. And then the open E string, sorry, the open B string. So you got, and then you just pluck it open, and then you're on the the 8th. So the 8th and 10th on the B string, and I just play them with my first finger. So you got, like that. Actually, I'm giving it vibrato there. It's just something I do naturally, but in the actual song is, and then you give it a very faint sort of hint at a bend. Not Nothing drastic like that, very subtle. So. Then the thumb on the A string. So you go. Oops. Downstroke on the A string. Oops. And then an upstroke on the E string, Tennessee string there. Downstroke here on the D string, and an upstroke on the B string, but open. So. Right. Then an open D. Just played on an upstroke. So good. Hold on. Yeah, an open G. And then an upstroke on the 4th fret D string. So good. Sorry. And then you've got so you sort of giving that quite a little bit of a. It's got a bit of punch to it. That note. So you go. Oh, I can't seem to play it slowly. That's it. And then into this position here. So the first finger's on the D string on the 5th fret, the 3rd finger is on the G string on the 7th fret, and the little finger is on the B string. So you've got these notes here. So good. And you go into that position I've just shown you, and then it's so it's just a simple bit of a muted off of the palm, and you get a first finger, 2 fingers, and then the first finger again. See that? Yeah. And then you come to this bit. See it? Which is 7th fret on the E string, played with the bass string. And then you got like it's a nice sounding bit when Andy plays it. It's not easy to always do it. Like, you know, when I filmed the lesson, I wanted to get it all sounding perfect, but I did about 1 trillion takes in front of the camera, and I just resigned myself to the fact that, you know, I'd have to spend the next 2 years just working on this one lesson to have it sound, you know, perfect in one take. So I don't think I actually got it on the original video, but I can do it sometimes. And you got that note there, and then you've got a kind of it's like a diddle-a-ding, diddle-a-ding. And the way you get it is like you play this, you play up on this D string here, you play an upstroke. So you go. Yeah, and you go hammer on here, play the open D string, hammer on with the first finger here on the on the A string on the 5th fret, the same note. So you go, and you go. So you you've got an up. You pluck upwards with this second finger here. Hammer on with the first finger here, and then pluck upwards on the A string when that note is held down. So you got put that together. You got, and then you come in with a thumb. Then so. You speed it up, then it becomes a bit of a blur then, but it's a bit of a tricky one that I found. But it's definitely that thumb that ends it like that. Diddle-a-ding, there's a thumb. So you got. And sometimes when Andy plays it, and he pulls off. Plays that and then he pulls off on the A, but on the original sort of, as I say, the most famous YouTube version, the version I prefer best, to be honest, he just goes, and then he just pulls the string, pulls this first finger off, but not completely off the string, so that the open A rings out, just to deaden the note. So you get a, and because this D string is already ringing. You've got them both ringing at the same time. When you stop that one, it almost sounds as if that D note is being struck again, even though it's not. So you go. So it's a diddle-a-ding-ding. Like that. So you go. So then a percussive strike. These two strings together. Remember, you're keeping that same hand position the whole time. So. And then you go to this position. Alright, so the first finger is on the A string 3rd fret, second finger is on the B string 3rd fret, and the third finger is on the D string on the 4th fret. Alright, so you got hold on, how's it going? So you got thumb. Same as before, same as we've had before. Thumb, and then the so thumb 1, 2, 3. That's how it goes. Yeah. So it's like that. So I actually go. So I do it. So I do it with the thumb, or do I? No, I do it. It's like that. So with the first finger, and then after that note, thumb on the G string, and then the E string again. So, and then that percussive slap. Again, you're only hitting it on the sort of E string. And then you go to this shape here, with the first finger on the third string, on the E string. Second finger's on the D string. Third finger's on the G string. This is obviously all on the 5th fret, and the little finger's on the B string, also on the 5th fret there. So you get this sound. Alright, and then so you go to that position, and you go. So you got the thumb on the A, first finger G string, second finger B string, thumb on the D string, and then the third finger on the E string. Alright? And then you hammer on the 10th fret with your first finger, as you can see. So Alright, and then you go to this position here. Yeah, you've got to go there, and you've got to come away from that. So you got go to this position, which is first finger on the 5th fret on the thinnest E string, and the thumb is on the 7th fret. Then on the so good. And then you've got to sort of you've hammered on, you've got to come out of that by simultaneously plucking the thickest E string and the thinnest E string, so these notes. So you got like that. So you got after that, and then you just pluck. Use your second finger, and we're talking the 8th and 7th fret on the B string. So, and then a percussive strike, and then you just sort of hammer on then. From the 5th to 7th on the B string. And then after that, now you've got so you go, and then this finger needs to come over here onto the D string on the 7th fret, and the little finger needs to come here. And then you've got so you got yeah, that note when that note is this note is you don't actually, this finger here, you're not actually pressing it down, so you just get a deadened sort of, you're not playing, see that. And then you go back into what we've already had before, exactly the same. So we've done this before, so that's just a repetition of what's gone before. Back into same thing as before. But this time, the second time round, instead of going, you go. So the first finger's on the D string on the second fret, second finger's on the A string on the third fret, and the third finger's on the B string on the third fret. Alright, so you go in here instead. So strike. So aha. So you go strike, and then these two together. So you go. And when you get to that note, you give the whole thing a bit of sort of vibrato. You give that note a bit of vibrato. And these two together. So good. Like that. Like that. And then you go into this shape here, which is a nice sounding chord, just by itself. So that's the first finger is on the B string on the first fret. Alright, the second finger here is on the D string on the second fret. The third finger is on the G string. Sorry, what am I saying? On the G note, what I mean is the third fret on the... And then this little finger here is on the G string on the fourth fret. Bit of an awkward chord, might take you a while to work that out. To be honest, it took me about 1.5 years to learn Ebon Coast to a level where I could sort of play it as well as you can see me playing it in the intro video. But I didn't have. I was just working it out from the YouTube video. I didn't have any a lesson to follow. So. Hopefully, it should take you a lot less time than that. Just watching, and it's hard to see Andy Mckee's fingers, and you have to watch the same bit about 1 trillion times to get it. But, okay, so anyway, this chord here. So you got. So thumb, 1, 2, 3. Strike, and then 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. And then you got so So the first finger's on the 7th fret. Then you have an upstroke with the first finger on the right hand. And the second finger on the left hand is on the 7th fret on the G string. And then the third finger is on the 8th fret on the G string. And you palm mute here to get that sort of plucky sound. Yeah, and then you get so that note there. All right, on the 7th fret B string, the first finger. And then you've got the percussive beat then muting it off. But you're also muting it here. It's not a long playing note, it's just a short note. First finger on the right hand, the 8th fret on the B string, and then the 10th fret on the B string. I don't know how it goes then. Yeah, so you go here. The first finger is on the 6th fret on the A string. So and then this finger here is on the 8th fret on the G string. So you got By the way, I don't really break this lesson up into chapters, so if you get to a point, where your brain is saying that's enough, then just take a rest. It might take you months to work through this lesson and actually be able to play the song, right? So just take a break, and just remember where you left off, and just come back to it later. All right, so we had this. And then you got, so the third finger here is on the B string, on the 7th fret. And then you've got the thumb coming in on the A string. Sorry, the B is on the 8th fret, yeah, and then on the 9th fret on the A string. So you got. And then the 11th fret on the G string with the first finger. So you got. Give it a little bit of a bend. And then the open E. Okay, so and then you go back into the original bit we've already covered. But this time around, instead of it going, it does something similar, but it goes, and then it goes. So the first finger's on the 3rd fret on the B string. So you play the A string with your thumb. First finger, second finger. First finger B string, second finger E string. And then these 2 fingers here. You got the 3rd finger on the 5th string D string, 5th fret D string. Little finger on the 5th fret G string on the 5th fret. Yeah. So you got and then a percussive strike, and then the same thing. So and then the A string again. So and we've had this before, then it's repeated. So you might want to go back to the beginning part of the lesson to cover this again. And then you've got, which we've already had, but this time it's very subtle. All these changes are just subtle. Instead of going, it goes. So you just pluck it, pull off, and then pluck it again. So instead of going, you got, and then the first time we go, so yeah, it goes like this. In the original one it goes, but then this one it goes. Hold on, let me think now. Yeah, the same. But instead of going like that, it goes. So it goes. And then, so the positioning is the first finger is across the 7th fret, G, B, and E strings. The second finger is on the 8th fret on the B string, and the little finger is on the 10th fret on the D string. So you got, and you got, so you go downstroke, 3, 2, 3, and then 2 and 3 pluck these 2 together. So you go. Okay. And then the percussive stroke, and then the same sort of thing. And then back into that same old. Well, it's probably not the same old for you. It's the same old for me because I've played it a trillion times with this position we've had before. This upstroke on the open D, and then the pull off. We've had this before, so you know, once you become familiar with the first part, it's easier to play the second bit. Alright, so we're basically repeating the first part but with some subtle little differences which I've gone over, and then we go back into, which is the same, apart from the fact that instead of going, so it goes, which is the same, but then instead of going, it goes like this. I'll play the whole thing through. So you gotta, you hammer on here, pull off here, so you go like that, and then the G string as well. Sorry, the G string. So you go like that. When you speed it up, it sounds like that. Alright. And then you go into same as before. Yeah, and then this time again it's almost the same, but you go, but instead of going, you just go. So instead of just going, and then you go back into, which we've had before. And then into what we've had before. Same as before. This is all the same. The hammer on. Or we've had all this before. It's identical. But this time around, when it gets to here, you've got, instead of plucking the open B string first, you pluck the open E string first. So you go, not that, but it. So go. you pluck it with that second finger. So it's a very subtle difference. Instead of go, you go, and then same as before. But this, and then you're going to, and we've had this before, but it's a slight subtle difference here as well. Instead of going, you bring that in quicker. So you go. So it's not that, it's and then the same here, same thing. I'm not going into detail on this because I've already covered it in detail earlier in the lesson. Yeah, it's down to you to then, you know, to go back and watch that detailed version and then, you know, string it all together into a whole tune. And then you go back into same as before. This is the same as before. And then, but this time, instead of going, you go in. You're going. So you've got first finger here on the 8th fret, then this second finger on the 9th fret on the A string, and then the little finger on the 10th fret on the B string. So you got, and then you've got these two notes here, the G and the B strings on the harmonics on the 12th fret. So okay, time for a break. Okay, so we're coming up to the two-handed tap-in part of the tune. Last time we come up to here. So then you've got these two harmonics there, the G and on the G and B string. The third finger on the left hand is over the 12th fret, and you're plucking the G and the B strings. Okay, so you got, and then the thumb plucks the harmonic on the 12th fret on the lower E string. So you got, alright, followed by a hammer on with the left hand on the thinnest E string on the 2nd fret. So you got, oops, sorry, you got then that, and then you play the G and the D strings, again the harmonics on the 12th fret. Okay, so you got, just play that one note, then this note, and then the D and G strings together. They're all 12th fret harmonic notes. So you got, alright, then that's followed by a hammer on here on the 2nd fret on the thinnest E string. So like that, and then you release that Not, you don't have to pull away quite as dramatically as that, but just pull off like that. And as you pull off, you hammer on with the right hand first finger, as you can see, on the 8th fret. Alright, then you've got a hammer on here, which is the first finger is on the 3rd fret on the B string, the first finger on the 3rd fret B string, the 2nd finger on the 4th fret G string. So you hammer on and pull off just those 2 strings. And so here you go. And then you strike the strings. I think Andy does it sort of around he's not doing it on the 12th fret, he's doing it around the sort of 10th fret, so around here, this sort of area. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't, you know, and it's kind of like a short little tap like that. So you got like that. And then you've got a hammer on here with the 2nd finger on the D string on the 7th fret. You hammer on like that, and then you hammer on with this 1st finger on the D string on the 9th fret. So you got like that. And then you hammer on again. Oh, sorry, what am I saying? And then after that, you hammer on here, which is on the 5th fret on the G and B strings. So these notes. So you got. After that you pull off and you hammer on here. So then you're hammering on the 2nd finger is on the 7th fret G string, on the 8th fret you've got the 3rd finger on the B string. These notes. So you got just and from there you sort of pull off, hammer on, pull off. And then you just do a strike there, sort of around here, just a normal sort of tap with the whole sort of weight of your hand. So it's okay, and then so as you've got your 1st finger there on the thinnest E string on the 2nd fret. The 2nd finger is on the 3rd fret on the B string. 3rd finger's on the 3rd fret. And you just play them together with the 1st and 2nd fingers. Pull off, pull off. So hammer on here, and then pull off here. That 2nd finger is there, so you pull that off, and then you hammer on there. So the first finger on the B string on the third, second finger on the G string on the fourth. So, and again that same tap in the area of the 10th fret here. And then again the same thing here. But this time you pull off and then you go up here, followed by a tap here on the 5th fret, the thinnest E and B strings, and then pull off, and then hammer on here with the first finger on the 7th fret on the thinnest E string and the second finger on the 8th fret on the B string. Okay, so you've got so again. Then hammer on here, and then hammer on here. So and after there, you pull off from there, hammer on here. First finger 7th fret G string, second finger 8th fret B string, and then you strike the harmonics then. And then you hammer on here with the second finger. So you go. Hammer on the D string between the 10th and 12th frets, and then you hammer on with these two fingers on the 10th fret on the B and E string. So you go. Pull off and hammer on the same thing but just 2 frets higher on the octave on the E and B strings. So you got and then another tap here. Not quite that hard. And you tap, and then so you're starting off there on the first fingers on the 7th fret, second fingers on the 8th fret, third fingers on the 8th fret E string, and then you just pluck them together like that. And then you got so you pluck them like that, pull off, as you can see, and slide this finger up. So you're hammering on the 12th fret with the right hand, and then you've got these two notes on the 7th fret on the G string, 8th fret on the B string. So you're you go tap on the harmonic, tap on the around the 12th fret, sorry, no, that was wrong. No, it was right. You do have a tap on the harmonic there, and then again, 11th, the 10th fret and the 12th fret on the D string. Then you go. Hammer on there. It's don't worry. this probably comes across as seeming quite complicated, and it is until you sort of keep practicing and it all comes together then. So the B and G strings. And then here, pull off, and a hammer on here. And then pull off. So it's from there, with these two fingers, and then to this position. On the G and B string, yeah? So, then you sort of do that and then pull off, and then just that note. And after that you go, you hammer on here. So you go, and then you pluck this the thinnest string here with this third finger here. Yeah. So you hammer on your finger there, and then you're plucking that with this finger here. So then pull off, so, and then pull this finger off. Alright, and that's one round. Then that gets repeated, so you go, and then back into here. And then you're repeating, and instead of going this time around, you just go, so you pull off from there with this second finger, just hammer on. So you're going, same thing, we've already covered this. And instead of going, you come to that bit, and then you play the harmonics then above the 7th fret, talking about the B and G strings. So you play them, so you got followed by the 10th fret on the B string. Okay. Then you slide it up to the 12th, 13th, 14th fret. So go ding, and if you can, be easier with a cutaway on the guitar. It's hard to reach, but you got to, and with that note there, if you can sort of get your hand, this finger, to catch these harmonics on the 12th fret as you do that. So you need to sort of, you just do this, and then slide it down. But at the same time, like that. So you're playing the note, but then you're using your fingernail and sort of striking down all the strings. It's not always easy to get, like, you know. Okay, so now for the next segment. It's one of my favourite parts of the tune. It's you've got it kind of goes like this. So it's a down, up, down, down, up, down with the thumb. It's muted with the palm, and then you're like down, up, down, down, up, down. So you've got a dun, dun, dun. So you've gone from the dun, or if you want, you can sort of do 3 downs. So I just find it more natural to do it like a down, dun, 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 dun. So dun, 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 dun. And then so you're then playing an upstroke on the thinnest E string or on the 7th fret, and then a strike, a percussive strike. So you're just pulling it off. So you got, and then hammer on, and then pluck the note. So, and then with your first finger, take it onto the 7th fret, and then you sort of play, and then hammer on here with these 2 fingers on the 7th fret on the D and G strings. So you sort of hammer on, and then pluck the D string with your thumb. So you get a hammer, pluck, and then an upstroke, a quick sort of so it's a kind of, you pluck it and then you mute it quickly by releasing the pressure on these 2 fingers. Do that. And then a percussive strike. So and you got, so you just pluck with the first finger, B string, 5th to 7th fret, hammer on, and then an open E. And it's good if you can, not always possible to do it when you're playing it live to get it right, but let that string, let that open E ring out, and then with your little finger there, while it's still, without cutting it off with your hand, play that note. Yeah, so you go. And then you gotta go to this position. So the little finger's on the 8th fret on the thickest D string, then the 3rd finger is on the G string on the 7th fret, and the 2nd finger is on the 7th fret on the D string. These notes. So you go. And try to leave that E string ring out. Sometimes you cut it off when you go there. It's a bit awkward to sort of, again, it's just a question of practice, like, but so it's good if you can get to ring out to get it to sort of sustain. So you got 1, 2nd finger, 1st finger, 3rd finger on the B string, strike. So you got, oops. Strike and then 2nd finger on the G string, all with the same position here. So, and then bringing the D as well. So you got. then bring in the E. So you got and then here. So that's correct. Then go to this shape here with the second finger on the thickest D string on the 5th fret, third finger is on the 5th fret on the D string, and the little finger is on the G string on the 5th fret, and you just got like a so thumb on the bass string, thumb here again on the D string, slide this position up, keep it the same position, but just slide it up to the 7th fret. Alright, and play like that, pluck like this. So you see you've got the thumb and second finger on the right hand. Then the third finger brings in the E. So you've got slide the little finger up, pluck the G string, slide it up, so you got, and then with the bass then, and then the D string, so and then mute it out. The palm, and then you slide up, pluck with the second finger, slide up from the 5th fret, so, and then a percussive hit, so slides, percussive hit, and then here on the 10th fret on the thinnest string. So you pluck, slide, and then the same thing. So this same shape we had before. Thumb, thumb, 2 fingers. Strike, and then so first finger, second finger, and then mute it off by pulling it off. Not pulling it the finger completely off the string, but just, and then you got, and then that harmonic there on the B string on the 12th fret. And then this note here, and then an open G, and then a hammer on here to bring to the same G note on the A string. So you go like that. So you pluck the open G string, hammer on the A string on that G note on the 10th fret, and then bring in the thumb and pluck it again. So. G note harmonic, and then there's percussive strike. So you go, and after the strike you've got the D harmonic. So yeah, and after that D harmonic, you play with the thumb that A string G note on the 10th fret again. It's a little bit of a tricky bit there. Oops. Okay, and then you've got an open bass note. Yeah, open bass note, and then here on the 10th fret on the bass note. And you just got, you place your little finger over the harmonics on the 12th fret, and you've got a, so it's just a thumb, 1, 2, 3. And then with that finger there, on the 11th fret on the G string. So, strike. Here, so you got and then finishing on that with that harmonic on the B note. So you go. Whoops. And then you've got a bass note, but at the same time you've got, and then you sort of hammer on here, so you've got very silent sort of thing, but it is there, and then pluck, strike, repeat, repeat, oops, same thing, but this time you go. So, and then you go back into putting a little finger across there and back into the intro. And then it just repeats then. We've covered this in detail in the beginning part of the lesson. Just repeating the beginning of the song, which is exactly the same. Doing that quicker one, that more elaborate one that I've shown you. So we've already covered this, just like in the beginning. Does that again, and then it goes back into the tapping. Already covered the tapping, exactly the same. then the same thing, and the same sort of slide to the chop here. Alright, and now we're into the final segment of the song, and it goes like this. You've got so you're muting with the palm, and you've got and then it's like a minor shape, you know. So it's the second finger on the B string, it's 8th fret, third finger on the D string, 9th fret, and little finger on the G string, 9th fret. These notes here, yeah. So you've got a down, up, down, with it muted with the palm, as you can see. So you've got dun dun dun, and you're almost not pressing. You're pressing so lightly. You're just making very gentle contact with the frets. You know, you're almost sort of, it's almost muted. Takes a while to get the feel of that, but it's not a full on. You don't. It's not that. It's not that in your face. It's quite subtle. It's like a. So you're almost not pressing the strings down fully. You're just very lightly pressing them to get that kind of that very sharp staccato. So you got that down, up, down, pluck, and then a percussive strike, and then you've got harmonics here on the D and E string on the 7th fret. So, and then you got slide up, all with muted string, yeah. So you just pluck with the thumb, slide up, pluck with the thumb again. So, and then the D string, and then just that shape there. So first finger on the 7th fret, the B string, little finger on the 9th fret on the G string, and then the third finger on the 9th fret D string. These notes here. So you got. Alright, again, all sort of muted. More muted with the bassy strings, but that happens naturally anyway. So you got. Then you go to this shape. So you play here, this note, it's 8th fret, hammer on here, on this note. So you hammer on and then pluck it down. And then you've got both the E and the B strings on the 10th fret. And again, you're sort of pressing them. You're almost not pressing it. Almost just hinting at those notes. You're not full on pressing down hard with this finger to get like a. It's not that. It's a. You might want to put this finger as well on this note, and you get a. That sort of thing. So you go down, up, down, up, down. So we got like that. We think. Yeah, and then you've got the same two harmonics here on the 7th fret, so you do. No, so you've just got that. Okay. Now you've got after that, got a harmonic here on that note there, on the 5th fret on the A string, and then you've got a so you've got a thumb on the A string, thumb on the D string, and then take this finger, first finger away, so you go, so, and then put that finger back, and then take this finger away, and then you got these two together, and then you've got the same thing repeated again, but this time around, instead of going there, you go to this shape here, which is those notes there. Again, you don't press down hard to get, the notes to ring out of that. You're almost not quite pressing it against the fretboard to just hint at that chord, to get that very sharp, short, sharp. So you got and then we come back into it incidentally. Got that on that note there. And you got it. So like that. And then the harmonics here are, and then the open E string. Here. So hammer on, pluck the harmonics on the 7th fret, hammer, tap, and then I think Andy plays these harmonics here on the 12th fret, as well as the harmonic on the 7th fret together. So we do it like that, and that gets repeated on the second time round. I don't think he does 3, I think he just does 2. Been through this already, and but this time around you got you got take the finger away and then go to that shape like that. Sorry, you go, second time around you go, you don't take that finger away, so you go, and then you go to this shape, and then to this shape. So the first finger's on the 3rd fret, on the thinnest E string on the 3rd fret, and the little finger's on the G string on the 5th fret and nothing else. So this shape. So then these two together. Alright, so I'll just run through that ending bit really slowly. So you got a and then it just repeats then. With the difference that this time around it's and then that just repeats. And this time it's the same every time. And then it just fades off then. Okay, so that's it. There's a lot of material there to take in, but hopefully if you persist with the video you might have to watch it, you know, quite a few times until it all starts coming together. But I hope that I've helped you to play the song and get pleasure from being able to play it from start to finish. Thank you. Go back to the beginning part of the lesson to cover this again.